Hello everybody, the Scholarship Searcher here, and today I have for you the 2016 Aftermath Services Collegiate Scholarship. Okay, in this scholarship, the award's going to be two $1,000 scholarship winners. It is due June 30th of 2016, and the requirements are you must be registered at a higher education institution or are a graduating high school senior. And obviously, it defines what a higher education institution is down here. Also, you need a 3.0 minimum GPA to apply, a copy of transcript, just so they have proof to make sure your GPA is correct. Okay, so this essay is a bit multifaceted, so let's read it. Social media changed the world. Today we can connect immediately and draw instant conclusions. This has a profound impact on how efficiently we communicate, but it also, at times, erodes our sense of individuality, compassion, and empathy. Finesse and tact can get lost in the noise. This is a problem when dealing with grief, a fundamentally human emotion programmed into us long before the invention of the cell phone. Write an essay about how social media can play a role in the healing process. What are some best practices when communicating with a grieving person or dealing with grief on the internet? And how do we give grief the time it deserves in a fast-paced world? Okay, so basically from what I gathered from the essay criteria, I could read you all of this, like effectively and insightfully develops a point of view, blah, 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 blah. Just make sure your essay is well organized, makes its point, and doesn't ramble on and on and on. There is no word limit, but be pithy with what you've got. Okay, my personal tips. One, I'm going to cover each of the questions on an individual basis. So, I'll start with writing an essay about how social media can play a role in the healing process. Often, as to anybody who's ever had a Facebook ever, one thing people do in grieving processes is it helps us honor the life of the person. When somebody's grandparent dies or something, you will often see them post a post honoring their lives, and that's part of the grieving process. The feeling of having this community of friends who will like that post and acknowledge that they made an impact on the world. Also, what are some best practices when communicating with a grieving person dealing with grief on the internet? Communicating with a grieving person, let them know you're there to support them. Really, you can make your own sub-arguments from that, but that's like the main overarching argument. I know that's a cop-out answer, so it would take some more sub-arguments kind of dwelling under that topic. And personal examples, I think, would probably be a great idea. Like if you were a support network for a friend who showed grief over social media, and also or dealing with grief on the internet, my advice would be probably not to let emotions. Well, let you feel the grief, but don't overdo it because humans because when overdoing it, you lose sympathy over time. That's just how human nature is, as callous as that may sound. Also, my advice would be to not let emotions run too rampant as part of the grieving process. Anger, denial, those things would not make a pretty scene on social media. And how do we give grief the time it deserves in a fast-paced world? Now, that is a question I frankly cannot answer. In today's world, if you're dealing with grief, you go to the funeral, you shake hands with people who express their sorrow and express sympathy for your loss. I can't answer that question, really. I couldn't think of really anything, so I can't give you advice on that last part at all. I'm sorry about that. But unfortunately, this one's going to be actually fairly hard, just given how many questions it asks. Kind of the obscure guidelines, in that there's no word limit. Given all of these, also, it doesn't. It gives a few questions for layout of an essay, but it's really up to you to how many paragraphs you want to include in this. But keep in mind, nobody ever wants to read a 5,000 word paragraph. Would probably be my final bit of advice. Well, that's it. Until next time, Scholarship Searcher signing out. Bye, guys.